Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Check.
Point.
This is a lot of
Yeah, I have to say.
aggressiveness
I
going
have to
on.
say like that. It
I
just
like
feels
it.
so.
All right, so today we have the co-founder of Hub of Consciousness and one of only 28 instructors of Psyche. Wait to find out what it actually is.
Yes.
We have Deepa Arora, guys.
so, so,
Welcome.
so
Yeah.
thank you very much,
Welcome to
Raghav. Thank you
Checkpoint.
very much, Ronak. And I'm actually here to be just myself. And there's like labels, 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 recognitions, recognitions. Yes, of course, it's a huge privilege to be one of the 28 only instructors in the world who teach Psyche, and the only one in the subcontinent. And what Psyche is, and all
Can you, yeah,
that.
for the audience, like for
Yeah.
this thing, can you explain what Psyche is?
Okay. What life is, Ronak? Counter question.
I can't wait for you to answer me.
Wow.
What life is?
Still have this.
So, on a philosophical tangent, of course, psyche is the way I express myself in this journey of evolution. But what psyche is process to rewire, reprogram, recode the subconscious mind, because this reality, what we are living, in any aspect of your life, what you do, how your relationships are, your career, your family, your money, that is based on to the beliefs you have stored in the subconscious mind. Okay. So mind is not how you generally commonly understand that mind has got subconscious mind, which is 95%, and it is the conscious mind, which is only 5%. So you create your reality not with your conscious mind. It's not like that, okay, I wish to be a millionaire and it happens. I wish, if the wishes have got wings, then everybody would have been. But it is your beliefs in the subconscious mind, unless they are aligned, then becoming a billionaire or something is just a dream. So it is not a reality. So psyche is a process with which you create your own
Oh, reality.
reality. So it's a process to transform limiting beliefs. What limiting beliefs are, from where they come, of
Yeah.
course we can keep on
Yeah.
talking about that. But it's a process with which we rewire our limiting beliefs in the subconscious mind, our fears, our traumas, our limited perceptions, and create a reality which you truly deserve.
Yeah. And how did you get into it? Psyche. I mean, obviously now you're practicing. Now you're one of 29. Firstly, like that's great. But how did you like get into this?
All
Like,
right, so that calls for a story. So I'm a
yeah.
storyteller. Is it okay
Yes.
with you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So how did I get into it? Because when I say that this is my breath, so so it is homecoming to me. This is where I feel home. And the homecomings always have some wandering. So I also have some wandering behind it. So, I, even as a child, I always was curious, rebellious, little out of the box, and not fitting in into those cliche labels and everything. So coming from a family where becoming a doctor was like, because my sister is a doctor, brother is a doctor, so, and I was supposed to be a doctor, and I totally rebelled, because for me, why you are going to tell me what I want to be? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that led me to that question, which is most spiritual in its essence. But of course, as a teenager or as a girl, I never thought that, oh, this is the real question, why even I am born, which is like, who am I? Yeah. Because you are telling me be this, do this, but then this is what who I am. But I'm not this. I could be something way bigger than this, or I could be way more different than this. So that led me onto a journey of curiosity, doing things which are little out of the box. So obviously, how the life journey goes. I was a very I was a very famous designer. I still am, but it's just that I redesign the minds and I redesign the beliefs.
Oh.
I redesign the beliefs now. And I was a very famous designer. I started my career with fabric, and I did not even know when the fabric converted into my liking towards frequencies. And I started from the fashion world, and I didn't realize when the fashion became the flow of my life. So I was very intrigued to understand something which I witnessed. In the fashion world, we used to have all these shows and the ramp.
Sorry to cut you off. Also, by the way, the podcast is called Checkpoint, and we can
Okay.
say Checkpoint at any time,
Okay.
and you have to just wait for what happens next.
Sure.
Okay.
It's like
It's like a point where we either
Say cut.
cut in the way that I'll
Okay.
ask you a question about what you said, or I'll
Sure.
ask you something completely else.
Okay.
So that's the twist in the checkpoint.
Okay.
Checkpoint. What were the ages that you were in the fashion industry? Like, when did you
So-
start until when were you there?
Okay, so I started when I was 25. I left when I was 36. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good, the peak
10, 11 years.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Maybe 15, like, because there was some overlapping and, that transition time, whatever, from trends to transcendence. Yeah. Yeah. From trends to transcendence. That was happened with me. So, there was a very peculiar thing I noticed, there used to be these shows, and like, after the ramp show, like, people would come to see your designs and to buy and all that. So I used to see these women coming, and there's a woman who's there, and she loves this one piece, and it's looking gorgeous on her, and she's like all set to go, but then, oh, but I need to wait for my husband, or I need to wait for my mother, or I need to wait for my best friend. And okay, so here the best friend comes, or the mother comes, or the husband comes, and then she's like, okay, she's already done a trial, and she looked fab. It was the most gorgeous piece, what she was, according to her, whatever it is, because she decided.
It was actually not good.
Yeah, no. Good, according to her, like what she liked and everything, and it was best, and it was really nice. And here the mother says, or the best friend says, "No, you're not looking nice in it. You're looking fat. This doesn't suit your color," and suggests you something else, which is a total disaster and a blah. But she has no belief in herself. So much of self-doubt comes. She drops that piece, and she's like that, okay, but I'm just going to have this. Oh my God. Like, you were looking so gorgeous in the previous ones because you have inner wisdom.
yeah.
I always say this thing. Today we are in search of inner wisdom, but you are inherently born wise. Today we talk about shamans and yogis. Everybody is a shaman. We come from that lineage of ancient wisdom. We are all very wise people. So with that wisdom, intuition, you got something for yourself. But what kicked in? Self-doubt. And you ended up buying something which is complete disaster. And this would happen, out of 10, 9 times.
Wow.
That I would buy, in which others are validating me. This looks good. This is fine. And obviously, because it was back in Delhi, and they were like, अच्छा लग रहा है ना? हाँ, ये बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है ना? हाँ, ये ठीक है ना? ये सबसे सुंदर है ना? And what you left was your first choice. But what you got was just a validation. That led me into a very questionable space, always. Because I remember that is where I started to think about that, how others make you disempowered and empowered. How somebody can steal your power like this from you, because the next time you're not going to be that confident to buy something by yourself. So you're always like that. I need somebody to validate that what I have picked up is right or wrong. So that was one part of it. And of course, in my own life, I was in this cliche setup of the high society woman, where everything is all about solitaires and brands and everything. But deep inside, there was always a discomforting space for me. For me, I'm a very, I love I love everybody to be looking nice and good, and being using good things and being high on life is not a bad thing, because I am a firm believer of that abundance is for you. For me, there is no separation between that. If you are aware or if you are conscious and if you are spiritual, so it means you should be in torn clothes and you should be poor. So that's not the point. But paying all your attention only to material was a big chaos and a mess in my mind. So that was the second thing. Now the third thing was my curiosity, which is who am I? What is this whole world? And what am I doing here? What is the purpose of my life? I never had any answers for any of it, but of course there was those incidents where I used to be the observer of the people who would come to the shows and those exhibitions and
Yeah.
those things, and I would watch so much of human behavior that got me so interested in this. Who am I and why am I is my space to get into. So I started to feel very disinterested in what I was doing. And slowly and gradually, I started my own spiritual journey. So for me, spiritual is not about wanting to know who is God, or and not about all that. For me, spiritual means that I have a spirit and I have this human body where I have to perform a ritual of serving my spirit. And because when we call something ritual, ritual means sacred. It's like I light a candle. It could be an aesthetic or a need or to have light, so that's called action. But when I light a candle with an intention, and there is something which the frequency is connecting to higher, it becomes a ritual. So for me, the spiritual was that, okay, this human body, this human mind is given to me to perform some sacred ritual. It isn't just not like that you come and you go.
This is like a message that came to you, or this is your belief, or like how do you?
This was how I
how do you place this?
how I interpreted it like that. That for me, spirituality was the that I want to live this ritual of being human, because after that I understood, because I'm very fortunate to find some very good masters and teachers uh, who absolutely connected me with my own self, not with themselves. So, not like the today's time cliche gurus and who want you to follow them. So, I got very, very beautifully into understanding of what is this human design. And that is what became spirituality for me. And then I started my journey with, of course, with that quest. So, everything, yeah,
When
sorry.
you begin, like when
Okay.
so like let's say if like Ronak wants to start a spiritual journey, like everyone has their own path, sort of.
Yeah.
Like you'll experiment with one or two different things, and like you'll go for a hypnotherapy session, or you'll go for a meditation.
I think you're a clairvoyant, because the word you used, I started from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but as I said, that I come from the East. Yeah. And being born in India, I live in Dubai, but we don't become spiritual. We are spiritual. Yeah, because we have that ancient wisdom flowing in our blood. So, and of course, we do have those kind of carry forward, that you're not here for the first time, you've been there. And today, in a scientific way, we talk about the cellular memory, and we talk about that the consciousness never leaves. So, I also had that understanding. So, I started with I wanted to know who I was in my past. So, of course, I did my huge studies in hypnotherapy, then I studied NLP, then I studied EET, EFT, reconnective healing. So, be it any process or modality, I was a wanderer. I wandered, but in a good way, from the best schools in the world, and kind of started to find myself. But that quest continued, that restlessness continued till I had a homecoming with Psyche. So that's in my own little way. I can talk about it.
What was your first experience with Psyche? How do you come in contact with it and like the experience?
Okay, so what was my first experience with Psyche, or what led me to Psyche?
Both.
Okay, so what led me to Psyche was that restlessness. I was a psychotherapist. That's what we we use it as a label. And I had a problem, although I had learned many modalities of healing, but I had a big problem in calling myself a healer because I had a resistance in that understanding, because how I understood it from my masters, nobody heals nobody. You have that inherent wisdom to heal yourself by yourself. So nobody could fix you or nobody could heal you. So there was always a resistance. So my label or my visiting card never said it, of course it say a hypnotherapist or a psychotherapist, but it never said a healer, because I would always witness a very peculiar phenomena. So this is like now a transition from a fashion designer to somebody who's become a psychotherapist. Is cut two. Yeah, so it's Dawn part two. Yeah, so it is that. But when somebody would come to my session room or my office, and the look I would see on their face would be like, I hope that you will heal me. I hope you will fix me. And they would even use those words that, I hope that you will fix me. And I've heard so much about you. And that would uh, make me, in that questionable state that who am I to heal this person? Have I healed my own self fully? Is it like I'm fully authentic to what I'm doing? Yes, there is some stuff I know, but then by being on this chair where I am being given this responsibility and accountability to fix somebody is literally snatching somebody's power totally. So I started to feel that instead of empowering, because I always believed in empowering because I was empowered. Yeah. So the kind of teachers and masters and even the gurus I had, the whole concept was empowering yourself. And here there were people who are like handing over their powers to you and telling you to fix or coach and to do whatever. So that felt a lie to me. That felt that I'm not being authentic to my own self and to my journey, but I did not know what else to do, because the whole construct about healing, psychotherapy, and alternative ways of healing is being in a way that okay, you're here and there are two separate people. One has got all the power and the other is not wise. It's like doctors. So I have a disease and you are the doctor. So you tell me what is wrong with me. And whatever you will tell me,
I'll do that.
Well, it's
I will. It's like literally when you go to a doctor and if the doctor asks you, or do you have even itching on your skin, and all of a sudden you start to like, yeah, I have. Yes, I have. Or okay, are you drinking a lot of water nowadays and you feel very anxious and thirsty? Oh, yes, I do. So everything starts to become, because it's like that's the authority and whatever this person says, and that is right. So that was a deal breaker for me. So that led me onto another quest. So first there was restlessness on this journey of from fabric to frequency. And then when I understood frequencies and consciousness, not understood, I'm still understanding it, then there was another big confusion for me that I probably am doing something which I'm not fully integrated with. And that actually led me to leave everything. And I was like, okay, now there's a third domain also. Sab kuch chhod do. So all of us, we have that quest also that, okay, now I want to be going to the mountains. I want to do farming. I don't want to do anything. I just want to meditate, and I just want to be with my own self. And I remember I did decide that, and I went to my master, and he smiled, and he was like, "Yeah, go for it," as if he was like, "How?" Like that old wise shaman, he knows everything that the child is going to come back
Yeah.
more troubled, but it's always like that. Okay, fine, go do it. And when I went there, I saw a very dark side of. I remember your question, but I'm just going to
No worries.
yeah take you. Yeah, so I saw a very dark side of so-called cliche spirituality, where people have left their responsibilities, people would not take accountability. So what I call a hippie spirituality, where because you could not achieve certain things, and you took this path towards god and towards that okay, I don't need to do anything, but you still have those burning desires, materially or sexually or in whatever way, which you have curbed because there are so many limiting beliefs, or there are beliefs about self-worth, not deserving, and all those are hidden. And I would see people in a garb of leaving everything more angry. I saw more politics in ashrams, in dharamshala, and those sides of Rishikesh.
So they use that as like some people. I'm not saying all. Like,
Yeah.
So you're saying that some people use that itself as a form of escape.
Escapism. Yeah, absolutely. I call it a spiritual bypass also. Now, spiritual bypass also is a concept where rather than finding your own self, you go and start in searching of God. So that is called also a spiritual bypass. I can have a 3-hour full-fledged conversation on what spiritual bypass is,
Yeah.
but then obviously in a small way, the spiritual bypass means when when you escape, when you do not claim your broken paths, and you kind of just jump from point A to point B, and that bridging is completely missing, which I say in my own language that the transformational work is a fundament. Between the body and the spirit, there is mind. So from this body and from day to day problems, and you just jump to the spirit, and you want to know what is spirit, what is God, what is spirituality. And that was also a very uncomfortable place for me, because I searched solace in ashrams, being with gurus, and I saw it was quite dark. It was, they were unfulfilled dreams buried under, and I literally ran back from
How
there.
long were you there?
Yeah, that was for about a year and a half.
That's long.
Yeah, it was for,
That's long.
yeah, so it was about for a year and a half, and then finally I understood that there is some inner work I still need to do with my own self, and that is where I started another journey. And this time, the journey was not becoming something, and it was a journey of, see, obviously, from that fashion designer to a psychotherapist, it was still an ego journey. You, the frequencies what changed, but I pretty much, when I look back, I absolutely recognize myself the same ego in a different garb. Even when I was a psychotherapist or when I was a fashion designer, I think, yeah, but of course, that was a bridging for me, but I completely don't shy away from that. Yeah. So the actual work happened when I absolutely understood that I'm not here actually to become anything, and I'm not here to know anybody. What would I know about God? I need to know about my own self. So I need to know why I react, why I get angry, why I get triggered, why my certain relationships did not work in a way
Yeah.
I wanted them to. So the whole attention genuinely got inward. Yeah. And here, of course, what all the work what I had done, I'm very thankful to all those tools, techniques, processes, modality, because they made sense to me at a later stage. And I literally, because the story is like as magical, like somebody whispered in my left ear and said that, do you know what psyche is? And I was like, what? Psyche means, are we talking about psychic? No. And psyche is PSYCH with a hyphen K. And K,
And the
yeah. And the K stands for the key to the subconscious mind. And I started my journey with psyche, and I never looked back. My first experience, I still remember, was I was in London and in the Psyche Basic workshop, and there is a term we use in the Psyche Basic workshop. It is called Isumatak. It's not an English word. It's it's pronounced as Isumatak. It comes from a shamanic tribal side. So it means that we are the keeper of that sacred space in which wisdom is revealed. So when we work with Psyche, you do not snatch powers. And I absolutely understood this is what I was searching for. You are beautiful when somebody feels empowered in your presence. For me, the psychotherapy work was the opposite of it, that I would snatch somebody's power. And I understood that with Psyche, the wisdom is already in the person. Your presence is there, your facilitation is there for them to reveal their own wisdom, and you also get revealed with your own wisdom. And then, of course, psyche is extremely ancient, and it's extremely neuroscience based.
I wanted to get into that. Like, psyche is like it's backed by scientific, by neuro. You're saying this thing.
100% neuroscience.
Neuroscience, right?
So psyche is, at one hand, is deeply rooted in the ancient wisdom, because Ronak, uh, I definitely don't want to talk about psyche taking shelter and taking a validation from science, because science has come from spirituality. Okay, so something what we talk about, known and proving, that is 5%. The 95% of the universe is unknown, uncertain. Yeah, so science is the 5% of it. But of course, science means, of course, we something which our rishis and yogis or shamans or the ancient wisdom knew it thousands of years ago. Now the quantum physics is talking about that, and now the neuroscience is talking about that. But it doesn't mean that that did not exist before. So it is not for validation. Psyche is a spiritual process having emotional, psychological benefits. Definitely, it is based on the study of epigenetics. There is a great work which Dr. Bruce Lipton has done. Read about the biology of belief. So the study of epigenetics is all about that we are no more the victim of even our genes. It's like if you have in your genes hypertension or diabetes or any other kind of thing, not necessarily that you will be a carry forward. You will also become like that, because there is something above genes, what we call is epi. That is a study of epigenetics, and there's a great work which has been revealed by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Every cell has a receptor on the membrane, and there is a signal which comes from the subconscious mind. According to the quality of the signal, what that signal is to sending message to that receptor, that genes decides whether to activate or to stay dormant. So it is all about what you want to activate in you. If you have this awareness and if you have the beliefs, which is okay, fine, I had my father who is diabetic, but then it's not necessarily that I will also be, because there is something called epigenetics, because the signals given to that receptor and received by that signal can be very different. So according to that, the gene can stay dormant, means you will never have diabetes. But whereas maybe your twin from the same house who has no awareness, that genes will get activated, like at the age of 13 and 14, if you're eating a chocolate and if your mother says that, be very careful about it and don't eat too much sugar. So that is the first
Is that like one of the examples that knowing too much is also
Yeah,
like if someone told me the same thing, like back in the day, like if you have too many chocolates, you'll become diabetic.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
now I know that every time I have chocolate, like it's there in the back of my head.
Yes, absolutely. So we have, of course, all these beliefs kicking in, and Psyche is based again on the study of whole brain research, what we call is the split brain research, because we have two parts of our brain, right brain and the left brain. We respond or we integrate a beautiful belief in ourselves when we are in a whole brain state. Lot of times, with due respect, again, in therapy or in talk therapies or even in counseling and other modalities and processes, when we are doing that work, you're still in split brain. So psyche creates a beautiful state, what we call is a whole brain state, which is sustainable, where once the belief is integrated in that state, it stays forever. So it is a spiritual process having all emotional, psychological benefits. And for me, that was homecoming, where the powers are not snatched, where you make others empowered. And when somebody gets empowered in your presence, then it is a real service. So then I understood that my journey here is not a journey of becoming something. It was an existential crisis I went through itself in the Psyche Basic workshop, where I, for the first time, understood that my journey is here to serve.
Yeah.
First, to myself, I redefined the meaning of service, because for us, service means doing things for others. I remember in my early 30s and till for the longest time, I used to have aspirations. I want to have an NGO, I want to work with an NGO, I want to have this, I want to do that. And I absolutely understood that that is not the real service. The real service is when you change your limiting beliefs, when you enhance your own human design, when you remember how great you are. I think just before we started the podcast, Asad was talking about, I was talking to Asad, the lovely videographer, about that we are not here to become deep people. Actually, we are very deep people. The shallowness is acquired. We are innately,
Deep, really deep.
yeah, we are innately very deep people. We are innately very wise people. So, as how Rob William would say, that psyche is all about a remembrance that how divine you are. So, I redefine that divine is my own self. And I reach to that divinity by serving my own self, by expanding those limiting beliefs, perceptions, and transforming, rewiring, recoding them into enhancing
That way,
beliefs.
can you recode like habits that you want to get rid of, like smoking or something like that? Because,
Like this small thing, like an alarm never wakes me up. Like this
Yeah.
is a small thing.
So, did you ever wonder alarm never wakes you up? It is a conscious doing and a desire that I just want to wake up at 5, because there is all about 5 a.m. club, all rich people, wealthy people, celebrities, they wake up early in the morning, and we have a concept of the Brahm Muhurat and everything, and you get really excited and passionate about it, and then you put up the alarm, and here 5 o'clock, when the alarm rings, what kicks in?
Like,
Your subconscious mind, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, and your body goes into that slumber sleep as if, oh, this is so beautiful, and you just snooze off the alarm. So it is your subconscious mind which is responsible for creating a reality, not your conscious will. So it's not even about the alarm, it's about even going to the gym. I want to go to the gym, I sign up with the trainer. But here, when it's time to go to the gym, that's the time you will have the most important call. That's the time you will have a Zoom time changed, because it is your subconscious mind which is not letting you create that reality, because your reality is based on the beliefs of your subconscious mind. And it has a very beautiful self-fulfilling prophecy means for the subconscious mind, it doesn't matter whether you're good enough or whether you're not good enough. It has to prove. If the belief is I'm not good enough, so it has to create experiences around it so that it is proved, hence proved, I'm not good enough.
But this is a tough thing for everyone to grasp, that like I'm the one making this happen.
Yes?
Do you get it? Then that kind of removes the doubt that I'm not responsible for it. Do
Yes.
you understand? Like
I totally do. So I
so.
yeah.
So you're telling me that through Psyche, I kind of create my reality is the idea, right? So how do you explain that to someone who doesn't know about Psyche, like in that aspect, like
Okay. So be it any area of your life, you do affirmations, you listen to podcasts, you read books, you go for therapies. We all know that things change, but then they come back. We have patterns, we have cycles, repetitive patterns. Now, do we continue to blame it to others or even to past life or even to that was also one of the reason I have a great respect for this work, but then how it is being perceived by those people who don't want to take accountability and who don't want to take responsibility that put everything onto the past because this reality is happening like this because I had created this then and now I'm not going to do anything like that. So affirmations do not give us those permanent changes. A lot of meditation, and again, of course, I'm a big fan of all this. I meditate myself and I use a lot of beautiful stuff. But why there is no permanency? Because your reality is based onto the subconscious mind. It's like a software and a hardware. Yeah. So at a very young age, or even while you are in the womb of your mother, there is so much of transfer of beliefs, energy, perceptions. It's everything is given to you. Then environment, how you're being brought up, your country, your society, your culture. Subconscious mind is like a sponge. So it absorbs because it doesn't have that capability to filter that this is not good or this is good because the subconscious mind is like a sponge. On a sponge, if you put rose water, it is going to absorb. On a sponge, if you put some dirty, mucky water, it is not going to say that no, it is dirty. So it absorbs everything. And when it absorbs, the subconscious mind is like a storehouse. You don't have an access to it, it gets locked. So the K stands for
How to get access to
key.
the key.
key. Yeah, the K stands for the key to the subconscious mind. So,
Major key.
yeah, so your relationships, your career, whatever you do, it is based on what kind of beliefs you have in your subconscious mind. If your beliefs are enhancing, your life experiences would be enhancing. So if your life is not giving you what you consciously desire, so where do we need to work? The software or the hardware?
That's all.
Fair.
Yeah, so if you want to change the printout of your life, you need to go to the subconscious mind and you need to do the recoding there. So if we do not do that, because when we work with other processes, we are still working on the surface level. So it's as simple as that. And be it any area of your life, behind is subconscious mind beliefs.
Yeah.
So if we want to have a reality which is consciously, which is aligned with our conscious desires, because there is a conscious desire. It's like, I want to wake up in the morning. And there is a subconscious mind belief, I'm not good enough. So you tell me how it is going to work. I'm not good enough will never allow you to wake up early in the morning. Because if it allows you to wake up early in the morning, then it means it's a lie.
Yeah.
Because a person who's not good enough will not have these kind of healthy habits. Because you did talk about habits, Ronak.
Yeah.
So habits are an outcome of your beliefs, your behaviors, your habits, your feelings, your emotions. They're the outcome of your beliefs. So what we do is we continue to work with behaviors, we continue to work with habits, we continue to talk about those. There's a book, those 7 great habits by of great people. Those great people had great beliefs. So habits, behaviors, and outcome of beliefs. So I remember before Psyche, I used to teach a very beautiful, funny workshop because I still understood all this in my own way, and that was why law of attraction doesn't work.
Oh.
Yeah, because today we talk about law of attraction, manifestation. People who have written about law of attraction, they know about energy, frequency, vibration. And what is energy, frequency, vibration? There is so much of this thing about energy, frequency, vibration. So what is energy, frequency, vibration? When you meet somebody, you say, okay, I got such a good vibe from this person. So, what do you mean by good vibe? That person was courteous, was kind, had good habits. So, it means all that comes from good beliefs. Now, what we did is we started to talk about energy, frequency, vibration, and made a whole thing about it, and we completely forgot that all these what we talk about, again in my own funny way, with all due respect, when we talk about chakras and energy centers and all, what is there in the chakras? Your beliefs. Your beliefs. It's like, okay, what is the function of an exhaust fan? What is the function of an exhaust fan?
To
Air out.
air out.
Okay, so chakras are like that. So if there is dirt, what kind of a smell will come out from the exhaust fan? What it is going to?
Dirt. Because bad smell, yeah.
Yeah, and if there is fragrance inside, and then you put exhaust fan,
Then-
what will come out?
Obviously good smell.
Okay, so now you say that you want to work with the energy systems. Now, energy systems are nothing but they're your beliefs. If there is an enhanced belief, then that's good energy, frequency, vibration. So, can somebody else fix them? I doubt, because your energy is your beliefs. Your good vibration means what kind of beliefs you have. So if I have beliefs like world is not a good place, people are not helpful, there is a lot of partiality, only some people make money, and people are not helpful, what kind of vibration I'll have?
Low vibration.
Low.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So ultimately, everything goes to beliefs. And I was so thankful. I am so thankful that I have a lot of respect about lot of work what I have done. I used to teach shamanism that was closest to Psyche, because Rob William, who's the originator of Psyche, he did a great work with shamans, because shamanism was all about you are empowered. Yeah, and for me, Psyche is nothing but modern shamanism. But then, why it is such a great work? Because I don't need to. It doesn't interfere into your beliefs about your religion. About I don't need to convince you whether past life exists or it doesn't exist. I don't need to make you believe in me. I don't need to fix you. I don't need to heal you. There is a process which is absolutely rooted in ancient wisdom and backed by science, and it is very empowering. There is enough documentation, there is enough research on, you can later on do a research on what is a whole brain study, what is a split brain research, that there is a requisite for us to make that reprogramming, and that reprogramming cannot be done by affirmations and by default. Sometimes that reprogramming happens because you have the same beliefs, so it's like it fits into the puzzle of like that piece, but doesn't happen with everybody. So some people who read Secret, they became billionaires because they had the matching beliefs.
Yeah.
So it came at the right time, but not everybody. So I was very confused, which is again on part 2. And I wanted a very clear, very simple, very authentic, very effective way of change. And Psyche found me.
And now you're an instructor, one of 29
Yes.
only in the
Yes,
world.
yes.
How hard is it to actually become an instructor? It's like, what
Oh.
is the journey to become an instructor of
Okay,
Psyche?
so is it hard for you to breathe?
No.
You breathe so beautifully.
Yeah.
So,
Effortlessly.
as I said, it's homecoming, and Psyche is who I am. It is my very expression of, again, back serving my own self and then facilitating that service. I'm no one. You are innately wisdom. I have worked with myself and I continue to work with myself because that is what I call a service. And I do that service. And I think that's the most easiest thing because I don't have to wear a hat.
Yeah.
The accountability lies within you. I'm not accountable for your change. I'm not accountable and responsible for what you want to change. So when we work with Psyche, we facilitate the changes you want to change. So, and as you step into that world of empowerment, then you see how beautifully that innate wisdom comes out and how powerful you become. So, while even when it's teaching Psyche or facilitating Psyche, so there are two different things. Facilitating Psyche means when we facilitate a change with somebody, you come for a Psyche session and then you say that I'm having a lot of stress or anxiety about a particular situation, and with Psyche we have a beautiful way to transform the perception of the stress, and we call them the balances. We do that balance. I facilitate that balance with you, but I don't teach you that balance. I am a facilitator. And when I'm a Psyche instructor and you says, wow, the change is so beautiful. I went home and I never felt stressed and everything changed. But how many times I will come to you, Deepa? The core purpose of Psyche is empowering. The whole idea is like I can facilitate changes with myself anywhere, everywhere. Life is a journey of evolution. So I want to be absolutely reliant to my own wisdom and a process with which I can do transformation. So when we teach Psyche, which is the Psyche Basic Workshop, you learn how to facilitate those changes with Psyche, with yourself, and if you want to serve others in the subconscious mind. Psyche is not a talk therapy, or it is not done by taking anybody into a trance. It is a very neurological work which is taught how it is facilitated.
So I just come to you with a wish list and you're like, I want to be this. Can you do it, Deepa? And you go like, yeah, can do it.
It
That's how
is
goes.
so first of all, again, can Deepa do it? No, not at all.
This is me coming to you as like someone who, okay, I want to go to Deepa for Psyche.
Yes,
So I'm preparing myself for a wish list.
101%.
But Deepa, I think, is going to
Yeah.
make me into that kind of
Yes,
thing.
so we facilitate with Psyche, and Psyche is a beautiful process to work with the subconscious mind. And of course, the limit is not the sky, the limit is in your mind. So it's not about, Psyche is not about reprogramming and recoding only limiting beliefs, what you are talking about, the wish list. It is all about even what we call is the manifestation, but implanting the seeds of that reality, what you call, is also in the subconscious mind.
So it's like Inception, right? Like,
Absolutely.
let's get to that.
Absolutely. The
Okay.
movie Inception is real.
So if I had to connect a modality or like connect a modality, let's call it a modality. If I had to connect a modality to a movie, this is the Inception.
3 movies. Watch Inception and watch see.
I'll tell you the third one. No worries.
Yeah, yeah,
I know which one you're going. Yeah.
No, I think we did talk about in the Psyche Basic Workshop. It's Matrix, yeah?
Matrix.
Inception, and there was a third one.
And I answered in the workshop Interstellar.
Interstellar. Yeah, so Inception, Matrix, and Interstellar. Okay, that's all real. Every reality is first created in the subconscious mind, and then it comes outward.
Yeah.
So for me, this is the simplest, easiest, and the most effective way to work with myself and with others, because I have another concept, because I'm here for evolution. First, my own journey, not responsible for anybody else's evolution. And I'm not here on this earth forever. So I'm not a big fan of understanding traumas for 40 years and then working with them for 30 years. By then, I'm gone. It's like, when did I live that integrated, authentic life? Because when you work with Psyche, within 10 to 20 minutes, you can transform and rewire one belief. and then you can continue to work with Psyche, because you serve yourself, and then if you learn the facilitation, you serve your family, you serve others. So yeah, that's
I've seen a lot of like your videos of like a lot of people, giving testimonials for this, giving like, wow, this has changed my life. Can you tell me like one story such like, someone's life you've actually like changed, like, man, like, like someone's come to you like, wow, this, I mean, people say it like, yes, it's changed my
Yeah.
life, but like in, like a case.
many stories. Like I had this person who called me from US, and of course another part of Psyche is that it's not that only in person. You can have a session over Zoom or over phone also, because we have we are trained in a way that we can work even over Zoom and over phone, and it's equally, Psyche is absolutely effective. So this person who booked a session with me uh, from some other country, and he is a young guy, and he was like, I achieved a beautiful career, and he was from New York, so of course, so I was here in New York having such a good job at a very, very high position at a very young age, and here I am in depression, completely broke, having debts, and lost my job. And it's been 3 years. I have worked with many things, and I don't know what to do. So of course, while I was working with him, so there was a beautiful conversation came up, that what we call is, when you hold the space, it was not that I am wise. He himself very, very beautifully gave all the information that, when I was young, my dad used to always say that when you have got too much money, then you are not a good human being. Okay. And now he achieved something at a very young age, and he would have a lot of money. So what was the belief in his subconscious mind? That I have got a lot of money, so it means I will not remain a good human being. So I will get into bad habits and all that. So those fearful beliefs started to kick in. So then again he said that, that in my family, everybody would talk that if you get a lot of money at a very young age so easily, surely that's not a hard-earned money. Surely you are doing something
Quick money.
Quick money, some
quick money is
like,
not a
Yeah.
good money.
Yeah.
And he told me that, he would go to the shopping mall and he would actually buy things unnecessarily, so that he doesn't see that bank balance.
So subconsciously is bringing it
no.
down.
So he's bringing it down. And it was all about his relationship with money. He made himself come to that level that where he's financially broke. He made himself come to that level where he has got no money and loses his job. And when we worked with all those limiting beliefs, he got his job back. He started to serve himself and others, I think within 2 or 3 sessions, in a very simple and most effective way. A 27-year-old guy was back in track. Did I do anything? No. He himself had an innate wisdom to understand that his reality was created by the beliefs he had then. So now, if he needed to create another reality, so what we needed to do? To reprogram and rewire those beliefs. So the new beliefs were, it's not that quick money is a good money. I respect money, and I respect money. With this money, I serve myself and others. So there were such beautiful beliefs I had. I'm still a very humble human being, even when I'm a billionaire. So he converted his whole limiting beliefs into life enhancing beliefs. So the result was a beautiful reality. So we have many testimonials about, even I specialize in health and well-being also. So all diseases are the dis-eases of there is a dis-ease in the subconscious mind. So whether it's cancer, we'll have a separate podcast, because it's a huge subject
Yeah,
about
that's
health
that's a
and huge subject on health and well-being, cirrhosis or autoimmune diseases or reactive responses. Like I myself, oh my god, I suffered so much with the particular allergy I have with the medicine, which is diclofenac sodium, that which is in every medicine. So even if it is in even every spray you have it. So the muscle ache spray or anything, that if somebody in the flight is sitting next to me and has had that muscle spray, and I would start to have allergy, and it was really life threatening. And I worked so much with it, and ultimately it was nothing but my way to seek attention from my husband back in then when I got married. And it was like, oh my God, something which I kept, and I troubled myself so much. It was just a way for me to gain attention. So the reactive responses, how is such a vast field we have. Sometimes we are stuck because we have something we call it secondary gains, that
Yeah.
you wish to change, but you're not being able to change. What we call is resistance. So with Psyche, we can so beautifully even reach there, that is it a benefit you have, that you talk about change, but you do things, but your subconscious mind has a benefit. So the subconscious mind even has sometimes a benefit. Like I worked with a girl who was not getting married, and she would say that I really want to get married, and I really want to be with somebody. And when I worked with him, what came was that she had a history of inappropriate touch in her life when she was young. So now she wants to get married, but when it comes to intimacy, it triggers that inappropriate touch. And she would say that she wants to get married, but just so that nobody touches her, she will get into a relationship, but when it will come to commitment, she will chicken out because her subconscious mind has a benefit that, oh, that you're safe without single, but she wants to get married. So she had a secondary gain to stay single so that she's not being touched, even a touch of a love or a touch of consent or a touch of with your own wish and will. So there are such beautiful stories. There are such beautiful testimonials we have. There's another person who had a very peculiar body odor. And again, it is connected that body odor is not going by using perfumes, deodorants, and whatever. So again, with due respect, a female, again, a story of where she was molested or inappropriately touched in her childhood. So her body started to produce an odor so that nobody touches her.
No way.
Can you believe this?
That's crazy.
So every time she has a boyfriend, the relationship will fail because when it will come to intimacy, she would be having a low self-worth and she would lose her confidence and she would be like that, oh, but I have this peculiar odor, but I want to be with somebody. But that odor is her safety measure.
Wow.
So there is so much, so
I can't believe
reactive
yeah.
responses. So when we work with,
Check point.
yeah,
I want to know, like, if, like, so this person, let's say they had a particular limiting belief and
Yeah.
they came and they spoke to you,
yeah.
and then they figured out that the odor is because of this.
Yeah, in this case, it's not a believed. It is a situation, an incident which was perceived by her mind as trauma and stress, and then the physiology has a reactive response to it as
Yes.
an foul odor, which she continued to have despite going to dermatologists and going to many doctors because that was her safety net.
Now, my question here
Yeah,
is
yeah.
exactly, let's say
Yeah.
we are right there.
Yeah,
where you are,
yeah.
Can I do this like by myself sitting at home?
If
Or do I really have to like go and like come to you and seek this kind of help? Like, how does one come to it themselves?
You can
also?
absolutely do it with yourself when you genuinely, with the open mind, address these questions that when we are stuck somewhere, and despite that there are certain changes we are trying to make in our life, there is most likely a secondary gain, or what we call is the benefit the subconscious mind has
So
of staying in a stuck.
Is there always a secondary gain?
Not always, but this is just because since we were talking about reactive responses, not
Yeah.
always, there are some sluggish people also who don't want to change. They only talk about change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
So let's say
Has that happened? Have you met
in-
people like that who just
oh.
talk
We,
about-
we always say that, psyche is for those people who take accountability and responsibility. There are still people who walk into a psyche session with that thing, heal me, fix me.
yeah.
I am this hero, and all I want you to serve me. You serve yourself.
Yeah.
You serve yourself. So it's not, if you are not accountable for your own change. See, the evolution is always individual. Transformation is always individual. You be the change you wish to see in others, and then when everybody works with their own individual selves, then the mass change come.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are heading into the time when there is so much happening out there.
You think a lot of change is actually happening around the world?
Because we have become activists. We want to talk about on Instagram about this has not happened, this is wrong, that is wrong. One very beautiful, this is a moment of gratification for me right now, that I learned, be the change you wish to see in others. I'm a mother, and I think I became a much better parent when I understood that if you want to inspire somebody, you do not inspire by your words, you inspire by your actions. You be the change, and whether it's your children or whether it's your colleagues or whether it is anybody. And I think your own transformation is infectious. Where somebody comes and asks you that, oh my God, like, how you are so positive? Because positive thinking is also an other.
Another hour.
Oh my God, like, you think positive, be
Does it
positive,
work? Does
think
positive
positive.
thinking and does positive lingo actually work?
Baba, positive thinking does not exist according to me. There is nothing called positive thinking. How
Yeah.
can, it is not something which I can window shop and give it to you. Positive thinking is an outcome of a healthy stack of beliefs. So your beliefs, your thoughts, your words, your actions, that is all is the loop. How can I think positively? I love myself, I'm very beautiful, but the belief is I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Yeah, I'm not good enough. So how can I see? I think we had that whole era of pep talk.
Yeah.
I think those 10, 20, 10, more than 10.
Interventions.
Yeah. So the 10 years of like pep talk, yeah. Oh, think positive. Why it did not survive? Why it did not work? Because we are working with the 5%. So I can give you a pep talk and your adrenal rush or hormones are like wow, but then you go home and after 24 hours, what kicks in? Your beliefs. Because your reality is created by your beliefs, not by my pep talk, not by, I don't believe in motivational speaking, because motivational speakers can ignite a spark in you.
But you still got to do it yourself.
You still got to do your work. You still need to be accountable for the change you desire in your life.
Yeah.
Was it only for motivational speaking, then it would have been a very different scenario. So there's nothing called positive thinking. Positive thinking is an outcome of beliefs.
Checkpoint.
Yeah.
Now, coming on to the motivational speaking, okay, I'll talk about myself here. Like sometimes I don't wake up with that alarm.
Okay.
Okay. And then I wake up and I'm like, okay, I need motivation today. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to switch on a motivational video
Yeah.
and then carry on with the rest of my thing and I get pumped.
Yes.
Okay. I get
Okay.
pumped for like a couple of days.
Yes.
Okay. And now I'm just like, that motivation is like now fading away. Like, what are the steps I can take to just maintain that like
Yes.
particular frequency that I get when I get motivated?
Yes. So you have self-answered it that, of course, you get pumped up. It's like a Botox. You know,
Yeah.
so there's a filler. Yeah, we live in Dubai.
yeah.
So the world of
Let's go.
fillers we're talking about. Yes. Yes. So there is a filler you put and in your cheek or in your lip or whatever. So, but the fillers are the fillers. So it pumps you up for some time. But what will give you beautiful, healthy, well-toned face is your daily exercise, your face yoga, your vitamins, your food, your nutrition, everything. Yeah. So that is what is called is being healthy. And the beauty for me, the beauty means awareness. So for me, the style means the lifestyle. So for me, it's light. So if something is pumped up, there is no harm in listening to. I do sometimes. I need that little thing, but then when I am going through that phase of motivation, I sit with myself. That is serving with myself. Okay, what is it? What is not making me sustain this activity? And there is always a belief. There is always a belief which I need to change. There is always a limiting belief. There is always a fear. There is always a stress. There is always something which I need to transform at the level of the subconscious mind. Because while I'm listening to that motivation, I'm still in split brain. I talked about that psyche is based on the whole brain
Yes.
Yeah.
state. So split brain means that we have either the right side of the brain or the left side of the brain dominant. So have you seen people some people are very rational, logical,
Like most
numbered.
men, I think.
Yeah, again, it's not about men and women because
Just generalizing.
yeah, it's not about men and women.
That's the man
Whether
side.
whether I am a woman or you are a man, if we put your brain and my brain on the table, so your brain will also have the right and the left brain. So the right brain is all about beauty and it's all about intuition and it's all about creativity, and the left brain is all about rationality and numbers and sequentials. But because of our upbringing, because of our limiting beliefs, so we are one brain dominant. So, well, while you are listening to that motivational speech or whatever, you're still into your split brain. And when you are in split brain, it doesn't seep into your subconscious mind. So it is just like anesthesia. It wears off after some time. Or it is like some psychedelic thing, and then it gives you a high for some time and then it wears off. It's not a real change. Real change happens when you work at the subconscious mind level. And for that, there are certain neurological requisites. There is a whole science behind it. So my recommendation is read about Dr. Bruce Lipton, read about Rob Williams, the book he has written about the missing piece and peace. And there is so much about psyche. There are such beautiful videos on my website. There are such beautiful work on the study of epigenetics, so that you understand that your reality is created by your subconscious mind beliefs, not by your wish and will.
Okay. I want to touch a bit on hub of consciousness as well.
Okay.
Like you have a whole space, and what is this space all about?
All right, so Hub of Consciousness is a beautiful space in Dubai. I am the co founder of Hub of Consciousness. And again, as we say, what you seek is seeking you. With due respect, with a lot of other processes and modalities, everybody has their own way and their own readiness. So, Hub of Consciousness is like a platform where you choose your dance form and there is a stage and you dance on. So I work only with Psyche, but we have very beautiful facilitators and instructors who do work with other processes and modalities. And as long as there is authenticity and as long as what you are ready for, it is your path. It's like as long as we are moving towards that ocean, what we call is the ocean of evolution, whichever path you take, ultimately it merges into that path of taking accountability and responsibility, that you be the change what you want to see in others, so we all get in there. Yeah, you could start from a probably a therapy, because that could be the right thing at that time, and then but ultimately, if you want to be on a journey of sustainable changes, we definitely need to take the accountability and responsibility that you create your own reality. So Hub of Consciousness is a beautiful space where you come as it is and you choose what you are ready for and you work with.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Our tagline is actually like that: you come as it is. You don't need any preparation. There are not do's and don'ts. That, yeah, whatever you're ready for is what you're ready for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions, Ronnie?
Almost at the end of it.
We've almost reached to the end of
That's
the
amazing.
podcast or end of our hour.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on as a guest.
Pleasure.
We will have you again because
We'll have you again explain to us what
More,
you've been writing.
more. because
Absolutely.
it's
This
not a
was
one
so-
episode
This
thing.
was so random, and
Yeah.
there's no like we.
Next time we'll pick out a topic and we'll go.
Now we have
Anything.
generalized the whole thing. Now let's
Yeah.
pick on one
Absolutely.
topics and let's get into.
Absolutely. Pleasure is all mine, and thank you so much. And the purpose is we become accountable. That's the message which I want to give through this, because we are responsible for that change what we are seeking in others.
Yeah.
And I think this probably will annoy many women, because all of them, they want their husbands to change.
That's true.
This is going to annoy many girls, because they were like, because of you my life is a mess, because of that boss my life is, it's not about that boss, and it's not about that boyfriend, and it's not about that, it's about you take the
It's
accountability.
because of you.
Yes. But it doesn't mean that you start to get into that self-sabotage. It
Yeah.
is being aware that how can I create a new reality?
Yeah.
It's not about you start to criticize yourself that, oh my God, I am creating this reality. So it is about, okay, fine.
Acknowledging it. Just,
Yes, acknowledging it and then choosing what do I want instead.
yeah.
Because that also is a beautiful thing, because it's just like sometimes we do not even know what do we want instead. I again had somebody, and it was like, I feel very guilty about something. And when I asked her, okay, so how do you want to feel instead? There was silence. We are so used to only talking about, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. But what do you want instead? So that's now another
Then we go
episode.
into thinking,
Shit,
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
crazy. That's a thinker.
I don't want this job, I don't want this thing, but what do you want instead? So we've always learned to keep ourselves busy in the problems. I call it conscious entertainment because you're busy, because we are never in the solution area, because that is the subconscious mind solution. So I keep myself busy in the conscious entertainment. I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this.
So
Yeah.
many things.
That's crazy, man.
So we can talk about it next. Thank you very much, guys.
That note. Yes.
Thank you.
How was your experience with us?
I think it's like I'm sitting with myself. So, and anyways, I hate to wear any hat. So I generally say this thing: I'm a mother, I'm founder of Hub of Consciousness, or I'm a psych instructor. But none of this is a label. I have the same conversations home. I have the same conversations here. I have the same conversation over a cup of coffee with my friends. So the same conversations in a structured way when we talk about
Plus, we have the
psychic.
structure here.
Yeah, so great. I felt great. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Awesome. And
Pleasure.
that's Ronak, and this is Raghav, and that's Deepa.
Thank you.
Check.
Point. Oh, and then you put me
So
on
it's like
spot.
check point.